So now we drag this onto the map. So you bring it into the map because you can. Apparently, they changed this so you can only access. It'll only access what's selected in the map. I think maybe the other one did that, but for some reason they also put the. I don't know why you can't right-click and say convert to static mesh. You have to go to act. You have to select it and go to actor and do it here. But anyway, we've already done that part. So we're going to merge actors. Now, this is something you'll want to take note of because if you don't get these settings right, you're gonna have problems. And you can play around with it all you want, but these are the settings that work for me. So we go with computed, merge physics, merge materials. I use automatic from Texel with a 10. I don't know if the number matters all that much. I am only going to use normal and metallic for this purposes. You can add any of the ones you want in here and create whatever material you want from these, the resulting material, and make your own, whatever way you want to do it. I'm just doing it simply so that I'm going to use metallic, normal map. When we make the material is going to be with a parameter, so you can adjust this and turn it on and off. And really, I think we feed this into the roughness parameter. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, however you want to make them manage the resulting material, it doesn't matter because all of this will match every single model you make and every single color. I just tell it to use specific. Again, you could use lowest. These settings, I'll go through here in a minute. Okay, so you want use vertex, use texture binning, reuse the light maps. This, if you don't check this, will probably give you something that doesn't look right. It'll look lumpy, or it'll look with like shadows, look like shadows in the paint type of thing. And then I use landscape culling. Again, I don't know if some of these are a necessity, but this is what I've been using that has worked. So that's not what I wanted to do. We're going to do car 05, trimmed, oops. And you know what? I think I have to do this differently. Give me 1 second. I don't think I made a folder for it yet. Yeah, I don't have it. Okay. So we're going to go. Should have prepped this before I came on to record, but I did not, so. And I've been making folders like, whoops, that's not right. Whole, and then for the colors, because you will need a place to hold red or whatever, white, black, and whatever colors you want to do. I'm just going to do the basics here, where I've already got some of this stuff made up, and what I've done for the other one. Red, white, gold, silver. This one's really white, so we can just put it in the white folder. We'll eventually move, if we get this working right, the mesh itself will move out, or just make sure you know which one is the thing. Because you want to get this, we'll show you in a second here what we're trying to do. So we go here, and we're going to go ahead and merge actors. Luckily, it does not, Unreal, for some reason, does not remember these settings from session to session. I don't know why, and there's no way to do it that I know of. If you know a way, let me know. So I have to remember this and set these each time. But once you set them within the session, you can flip back and forth. I put the tab here permanently because I use it so much for this project that otherwise it'll open a window and it's a pain in the neck. So I just keep it as a opened, on the thing. And then the settings just stay. Otherwise I think it might reset the settings. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's try this now. So now we go here, here, here. 5, and we're going to do white. And that will take a moment. What you'll end up with then is a single material and the full res for what we made, the triangles mesh. I then usually take that and I reduce this down. Now, mind you, the purpose here is not only to reuse these, but for me, I'm doing an Unreal 4 project, and these cars, they use material functions, they use all sorts of stuff that you can't just transfer over. So I need a version of these that I can use in Unreal Engine 4. So this whole process was predicated initially on the idea of trying to get a situation where I could extract them, export them in a way that would let me use them in Unreal Engine 4. And then I kind of was playing around with them, and I discovered a way to kind of make them so that you could do them all Okay, so that tires look actually pretty good, but you can see the tires are just a little off black. They're not really quite, they're kind of grayish, but not like gray. You can see the seats are just kind of plain, but they do have the stitching. So it comes out pretty good. You know, not too shabby for a single material to represent all of that. So, but it does flatten out certain things. You lose certain things. I guess I did lose a little bit of detail on that. You lose a lot of details for that. You can, if you want to. It won't matter though. I've already tried, like, because it made the textures at 1024, because that's what I had them before I switched this. I had them set to 1024. If you whatever you set here, when you switch it here, it'll still use these settings. So you can go to 4000 or whatever, 4 or 8K. It will make a little bit of a difference, but I haven't seen it make a huge difference. It takes a lot longer to process though, but I have not seen it make much of a difference in terms of the detail levels and color representation and things like that. As you can see, there's some compromises. So the tires, you can see there's a seam right here. So that seam exists in the actual models. It's just subtle. You can't see it. There's a lot of other detail over it. But in some of these, it's pretty pronounced. This particular method makes this seam about as good as possible. Sometimes it's like a V shape. It's like a canyon, like a divot. This actually is fairly smooth that from a decent distance it just blends. You can't really tell very much. Like, see, you can see here, it looks a little bit like an impression. That's pretty good. Sometimes it's a lot more pronounced. So this method is kind of, you get a lot of compromises out of it, but you can get pretty good results, all things considered. Now we go back. This is the real major part of why we're doing all this. So now we've got this down to one material, and three textures. Okay. We want to now have other colors for this vehicle. So what you want to do, is do whatever, where am I at here? Yeah. So we take this vehicle now, and we pull it in the world because we're going to need it there anyway. And we could just go down here, and we could pull other colors. So we can do gold. 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 Okay. Now here's the real power of this. We then go here. Oh, I didn't name that one white. Actually, should name the other one white, but anyway. So again, name it however you like. And car 5, gold. Now, if I've done this right, what should happen here is we should have, unless I fail spectacularly and I've forgotten something, we should now be able to take this model, because we're redoing this merging to get the different color, to get the textures. We should now be able to interchange the materials between the cars. So the idea is, if this works, or it definitely works, I just got to make sure I got all the right steps. So now if we go to the white car and watch this fail, it might. I don't think it should, though. We go to gold. We take the material. And now you see, same material works on the same model. Now, you say, okay, that's great. Well, it is great, but what does that mean? Well, what that means is, the big thing that means is, you can make a material master, make some instances using these textures, and only have to use this model of car, this mesh. One mesh, and you can replace all the materials. And again, this is a logical thing. This is the type of thing you want to do when you're making stuff like this. But to get from where we started and the way these are set up to this place and doing it the way I did it there, it's a fairly logical process, but it's also a bit tedious, and you have to really kind of work it out to get. I forgot to put a collision on this thing, actually. So now I'm going to take this one. I'm going to put it in the whole folder. Move that. And now all I need is to replicate this multiple times to do all of my materials. Just change the color, save it in here, and then I can ultimately make the material. And you can make the material however you want. Like I said, I tend to do well, it's actually a material instance. I just make a new material. If you just make a fresh material and just plug these in, plug in your base metallic and normal, put a parameter for this that's editable, so that you can edit the amount of metallic, because that will change how this looks. Some of these, the colors will go deeper and be more like the gold. Let me pull the gold over here, actually. So this gold looks, it took me a while to work this out, but this gold looks nice and gold. It has a nice gold shiny, but if you take the metallic away, it'll look kind of just yellow-green, So depending on how much metallic you put into it, but the white one doesn't need a whole lot of metallic. You don't need a lot of shine to this. And don't forget, when you get to that point, the metallic is going to affect everything, because it's one, unless you mess with it a bit, but it's going to affect the interior and the tires and everything else as well. Okay. And so, I guess I already had this one here. All right, so that's the basic methodology here to get from here to there. So if you create variants of this, the one other thing I did, and this is the same process, you would just go back to your original model and vary it however you want. One of the things I had been doing is taking the doors and, like opening them up. Get them open and, get the door. Well, this is not zero origin on the hinge. So you position it wherever. I'm just going to do this real rough just as an example. So you just get this kind of roughly in a position. So if we wanted to have a door open, for instance, version of it, then you would take this, make your static mesh, convert actors to static mesh. When you convert that to static mesh, you have to go through, again, that model. And this is the tricky part when you do this, is to get, you'll end up with, a model that has the door open. And you'll open up your original model, that the whole model that you made, and you'll open up over here, that door model. And you'll have to go through every one of these one at a time and make sure they have matching materials for the object. Don't look at the element number, because that could change. Look at what it is. So make sure that on the other model, on the door model, this hubcap is, or not hubcap, I think it's a brake rotor or whatever, interior part of the wheel is 9. Make sure that this and the trim pieces are 9. Well, it's 9 also. And that, you'll have to do your door pieces in paint. That'll be obvious. But you want to make sure, but you got to make sure everything is matching. If all of these slots match, because you should still have 41 slots, because you haven't added anything to the mesh or to the resulting thing. You've only moved a component. If they had made these so that the hatch and the hood opened, which I wish they would have, and the back doors, you could do a lot more variance with this, If you were to do something else, though, and take something away, then you're going to have to start, let's say you take a tire off or change the tires on this model, that would then be your new base model to work from. And you'd have to make everything else from that down.